So, you know, in Nigeria, we have many great snacks. We have this delicious bean cake called akara, and I love akara so much. The best akara I had was in 2005. I was a student then, and I was walking back from school after an exhausting day. I stopped by the roadside to buy akara, my favorite akara, and the seller wrapped the akara with a newspaper, and I collected the akara to enjoy my akara. And the headlines caught my eyes. It says, "The Gays Storm Abuja." Although the missing story was so horrible that it blamed gay people for every bad things that has happened in the world, not only in Nigeria, in the world. But it made me so happy because at that time, I felt like I used to think that I was the only person that is like this. It made me so happy. And I was just praying, looking forward to the day I will move to Abuja to meet the gays. So this was in 2005. In 2007, I moved to Abuja. And I started looking for the gays. I didn't find them for a while. And I think around 2008-9, through a friend I met online, I was invited to the LGBT community center in Abuja. On getting to the LGBT community center, I felt like I was in heaven, although it was mostly guys, but it was fine. So after a couple of visits, I summoned up the courage, I've become friends with everybody to ask, where are the women? They say, the women, they don't usually come out. They don't want to associate themselves with the LGBT community center. In fact, it was like the women were invisible. But some men introduced me to some lesbians. But the interesting thing was I knew these lesbians, but they didn't know each other. So I found that very, very interesting, and I decided that, okay, I'm going to bring everybody together. Let's have some fun, get to know each other, talk about our issues, see how we can support one another. So I decided to hold a picnic. And so in my mind's eye, I was expecting to see maybe 20 people, 25, 26. So on the day of the picnic, I got to the venue, and in fact, they came before me. I saw more than 100 women. Honestly, I wanted to run away because I never expected to see that number of women in the same space, bouncing, talking, So immediately we conducted a quick survey, informal survey, of 3 questions to understand the needs of LBQ women in Nigeria, since we are invisible. So while it was still going on, people were mingling really well, and my lesbian sisters, how we can be. And so they were talking and mingling. They were appreciative of the space. And the day was winding down, and they were looking at me like, what's next, kind of. And that freaked me out. I'm like, I don't know what is next. I there's no next, you know. I was looking at them, they were looking at me. Well, to cut a very long story short, that is how I became an accidental leader while trying to figure out my own sexuality as well. You know, I understand the fear that these women were experiencing. Understand, or I understood the excitement because growing up and thinking that you are all alone in the world, never knowing that you have a community like that you can support each other, I understood all that. I understood that these women experience fear of coming from families where they believe that exorcism, locking you up in church for a week without food, is the best way to cure you of your lesbianism. I understood all that. Imagine all that fear and being in that same space. It felt like heaven, right? But then there are lucky ones. After all the hurdles and the battles, their family manages to come around and accept them. Currently, I'm one of those lucky ones. And it wasn't easy, but we're in a very safe space right now with my family. In fact, one thing that fueled my passion for wanting to help other people through their journey is something my sister told me when I was going through a very tough time. She said, you know what? God created you, and God creates all of us the way He wants us for a greater purpose. This is my sister who's a pastor and who accepts it. And so that really motivated me to want so much to help other women to find the truth in themselves and to love themselves for who they are. So in 2011, I founded my organization, Women's Health and Equal Rights Initiative, to help women like me to pass through their pain, to manage the stress and the discomfort of living in a society that views women as second-class citizens and a society that criminalizes the same-sex love. And then, in 2014, we were presented with a very horrible news. Same-sex Marriage Prohibition Act, or rather, Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Bill became a law. It was so scary. We were so frightened. It was the most horrible news. Because this law has the most confusing and trickish title. It says Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, which indeed, if you look at it, it does not only criminalize same-sex marriage, it criminalizes same-sex relationship, organizations that organize for LGBT organizations. It criminalizes family, friends that have LGBT people as friends, and it criminalizes parents for having LGBT children. It was so horrible. And imagine, this was the same time when our peers all over the world were celebrating marriage equality. So tell me, are we moving forward or are we moving backwards? But my ray of hope is that no matter how dark the night is, soon the morning will come. Whether we like it or not, change will happen. It's either going to change for the good or for the bad. But it is our responsibility to continue to contribute to the ripples of good change that will create a better tomorrow and a better future. And maybe one day, after the dark, the sun will shine. Thank you very much.